One Focus Radio.
Welcome to the show, it's Dyer's Daily. Keeping in the know, it's Dyer's Daily. We've got chat, we've got discussion, nice and slow, ain't no rushing, reading emails and events. Sometimes he makes no sense. It's time to start the show, it's Dyer's Daily. He'll be there in a mo, it's Dyer's Daily. We've got plays, we've got interviews, even stuff that's in the news. Local and otherwise, come and try it on for size, it's Dyer's Daily.
On today's edition, which is of course for the 14th of November 2018, on this show about nothing, we talk about nothing much really, just the idea of spoilers and all different things like that related in TV, film, etc. I don't know, it's a show about nothing. So anyway, let's have a listen first to some promos from other podcast creators. Take it away.
Have you ever been reading through a stack of comics and thought, maybe I should see what this Arkham Asylum game is all about? Or been playing Marvel vs. Capcom and felt like you were at a real disadvantage since you didn't know who half the characters were? Well, Play Comics is the show for you. I'm Chris, and each episode we take a look at video games based on comic properties and how well they stick to that source material. So whether you know the comics and want to know how all these games work, or you know the games and want to find out where all this craziness came from, go check out Play Comics at playcomics.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
Was A Quiet Place inspired by Signs, It Comes at Night, and War for the Planet of the Apes? Was Ready Player One influenced by Avatar, Wreck-It Ralph, and The Last Starfighter? Is the Hurricane Heist more influenced by Sharknado or Geostorm? These are the kinds of questions my guest co-hosts and I discuss on my podcast, Piecing It Together. Every week we look at a new movie and try to figure out what other movies inspired it. Whether it's the story, the character development, tone, or even use of music. Every movie was influenced by something that came before, and we want to figure out what. Check out Piecing It Together on your favorite podcast app or check us out on piecingpod.com. You can also follow us on social media at piecingpod. Piecing It Together is a part of the All Points West podcast network.
Dyer's Daily.
When I first pitched the idea for this particular podcast, the podcast by the name of Dyer's Daily, I was asked, what is it about? And still, every time I go to talk about it, they go, what's it about? Why should I listen? What's the point? And I often tell them, it's a show about nothing. There is no point, but you'll find the point in no point, if that makes sense. And while some people go, oh, that's novel, technically, it's something which comes from a series I've been binge watching lately on Amazon Prime. The series Seinfeld, the comedy series from the 90s, created by Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld, and ran for 9 seasons in the States, and is popular the world over, and is often known as a show about absolutely nothing. And I can tell you that over 9 seasons, I have liked it, loved it, hated it, and then wished it would finish. Okay, so I know that's a bit of a controversial thing because these beloved TV series, these things that are known the world over as like major series that are, hugely popular, you shouldn't down them in any way. But every series has its ups and downs. I'm also watching through Friends. It's taken me about 3 years to do that, and I'm still on season 2. And every time somebody mentions something, a spoiler or something like that, I have to tell them to shut up. And the thing is, I had to think about spoilers recently, because I'm an avid watcher of The Apprentice in the UK, and I watch every week. But like a lot of other people, I don't get to watch, certainly when it's on. I have to watch at a later time. A lot of people do now. It's this up and go lifestyle that we've got. We can just click a button on a box and watch it later at our own convenience. The only problem is, because of social media, these boxes were built in mind they were built for a world that didn't give away the ending just by logging into Facebook. So I saw something the other day which didn't give away who went out of The Apprentice, but the way in which that person was described did kind of point me towards that person, and it kind of ruined it for me. And I'm not one to moan about spoilers, but I did think, because of my thing of don't tell me how Friends ends or don't tell me what happens, how long is it okay to say no spoilers, please? Because I saw this debate on that Jeremy Vine show on Channel 5 the other day, and I thought, yeah, how long is it before spoilers are okay? You know, Doctor Who, I was once told off for just saying one comment about Doctor Who, and I didn't even watch it then. And I was told to be quiet because they were watching it later. But what if it's a film or a TV show from more than a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? It's surely okay, isn't it, to give away a spoiler? I mean, luckily, some series slip under the radar, some movies slip under the radar, and some people are so certain that you've seen it anyway because they saw it a long time ago or because it's just well known. So some people want to talk about it and other people are like, actually, that's old now. That's past news. So really, to reiterate my question, and this is the main question for this podcast really, when is it okay to spoil something? When is it okay to spoil something, to give away the ending? I mean, I could give some examples of spoilers, but I don't want to be that guy who says, oh no, wait a minute. You know, I don't want to be that guy that gives you some spoiler to a film that you're probably planning on watching after this. Films such as Gone with the Wind or Titanic or anything like that. You know, films where the ending is so well known, but if you don't know, you don't want it spoiled. So, I'm going to have to spend the next 5 minutes talking and not spoiling any movies. But that's still going back to the thing about a show about nothing. I kind of like that thing where it sweats the small stuff, because sometimes in this day and age everything has to have a massive climax. You know, why do we have to give away a massive ending? If it's just like, oh well, they got married at the end, you know, that's kind of, you know, when you see the beginning of a film and you think, I know where this is going, I can see it. You know, sometimes just by the synopsis. Yeah? Will they, won't they? You know damn well it'll go one way or the other. So if somebody gives you that ending, it's not a great big shocker. It's only when there's something completely unexpected, which is very rare in this day and age, because it's very rare that I watch a film to begin with, but it is quite unusual that I watch a film and don't know how it's going to end. My partner tends to be a little bit better at spotting it. I could say actually that I will say that I don't see it coming, but I think I do. Is that the sign of denial? Have you ever had somebody do that to you? Oh, I knew that was going to happen. Yeah, I knew it. I just knew it, even if you didn't. Yeah, that is me. But most of the time when you look at it, you think, yeah, it was really simple. It's a really simple way of ending that. You know, most stories have got the same, very similar structure to them. There's kind of a formula. So you get to learn that formula, especially if you watch several different types of films. And I think that's why we're getting a tad bored of films. That's why they say that there's no originality. They just start rebooting stuff. Because, you know, they go, well, you know how it ends, you know what's happening. But loads of people go and see those reboots, and it really kind of interests me why, because you kind of know how it ends. However, lots of people will rewatch films, so I suppose that's another thing. That is another thing that people guess. I mean, I went to see Romeo and Juliet, which is a play everybody knows. Everyone knows Romeo and Juliet, the great William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, the great play, the lovers and all this stuff. But there were parts of that play that I wasn't aware of. And sometimes it can be on second or third watch that you see things that you didn't notice before. So if somebody pointed that out to you, first off, something that you wouldn't have noticed the first time, if they pointed it out, would you be even more interested? Like, would you... I don't know. We're going all cryptic here, and I don't really know why. Because in some ways, this is a show about nothing. But unlike Seinfeld, this isn't cleverly crafted. Although I have to say, like many great comedy series, it does tend to lose its way towards the end. And that isn't a spoiler, because most series do that. Even going back to the 1940s, early 50s, the Phil Harris Alice Faye show, by the end, was just catchphrases. Being banded around week after week, exactly the same jokes, because eventually you start running out of script, out of situations, and it just gets more and more bizarre. And that is great, but it does sometimes make you wonder why you went through it. I mean, How I Met Your Mother is a great example, and I'm not going to tell you. Go and Google it if you want to get spoiled, but all I can say is, if you're going to sit through 8 or 9 seasons of it, be prepared to be disappointed. That's all. That's all I'm going to say on the subject at this time. Anyway, let's wrap up the podcast, shall we? Let's start the music now. Okay, so thank you very much for listening to today's edition of Dyer's Daily. I shall see you tomorrow, hopefully. See you on the next podcast. And don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe on your favourite podcast provider. Have a great day, and don't forget to check out the podcasts that we advertised at the beginning of the show. Okay, as I said previously, have a great day, and goodbye for now. This has been a South Waves audio production.